Greetings, Patrick here. Uh, Welcome to Eight Questions with. Glad you're here today. After our last couple of days of rain, we have had it's a beautiful day out. It does look to be gathering clouds again, so we might be getting some more rain. So I'm just trying to adjust this here. Wow, what can I say other than we need to talk about yesterday? I want to thank everybody who came out yesterday for Robert Lasardo. Um, Definitely one of the highlights of doing this show was having him as a guest, and he lived up to the billing. He's a tremendously talented and to me, an underrated actor. He also has we also talked about his film that he directed, which I encourage you to go ahead and find on Roku and Apple and Prime, Amazon Prime. It is you can see it there. Highly recommend you do that. Let's see. Let's see. And Anthony is here saying I'm doing okay, and the Knicks are losing. Well, hopefully the Yankees will win. Hopefully the Yankees will win. God, I don't know how the Yankees are winning. They have so many injuries. I could You could field a team with all the people they've had injured. You could field a full team. Uh, let's see one thing real quick. I don't know what that means. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's interesting. I didn't know that. It says here I could post up people want to get StreamYard and get a $10 discount. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Um anyway, yesterday we had a great show with Robert Lasardo. Just tremendous, one of the best that I've done. Really want to thank everybody who showed up for that. It was a very energetic chat, and I admit I had a hard time splitting my attention between Robert and the chat because I was so much engaged with him, and so I do apologize. That does happen sometimes. You get target fixated and tend to forget. Um, uh, oh, thank you so much, Anthony. Anthony just gave us a shout out for tonight. Tonight we'll see the return of Joe Leone. Right before I got on here, right before we got on here. Unfortunately, we have some news that our two other guests will not be able to make it today. Well, one of the guests was Remi Eve. She was supposed to be here with Joe, and then we were trying to add on Adrienne Lauren. But we're going to go ahead and reschedule both those actresses back in June. Um, so we do get Joe, though. We do get Joe, and we'll be talking about his film "Greet Your Demons," which is very different from anything I've seen from Joe Leone before. Um, this is not well, actually, no, I mean, he's tackled two horror films. He tackled a relationship film, a dark comedy, Breakup Mountain. He has two horror films, Scared to Death and Reap, and he comes back with a it's a drama. It's a drama film. It may have some horror elements to it. I'm not even so sure I would even call them horror elements. To tell you the truth, I just think they're they're symbols of everyday life. Um, but he has made a strong drama here, and it's a good one. Definitely good. It's different, uh, and so I'm looking forward to talking with him about this. The It's a great movie. It's and It just it just proves that people make magic with anything they're given. And I was talking to a friend yesterday, and he agreed with me. We're talking about how I would just love someone to walk up and give Joe Leone $1 or $2 million and just cut him loose. Let him see what he could do with a real budget. I would just so like that. Him and Austin Gallant right now, um, just powerful filmmakers. Uh, and it would be interesting to see what they could do with a bigger budget. Hell, I've got a lot of powerful filmmakers on here that do amazing work with shoestring budgets. I mean, I can start naming them off, and you could even start off with Robert Lasardo. I mean, he commented how he made his film. Well, hell, let's give him a couple of $1 million to see what he could do with it. Yeah, though he did say that he did an excellent job in directing the film. I mean, it was something that he felt like he had to do. He did say that he felt more comfortable in front of the camera, but if he ever wanted to direct again, he- I couldn't wait to see it. I would not. I just love to see what he could do. Um. All right. So what else is happening here while we wait for our guests? Of course, the summer movie has come on. Movie season's come on. Um, uh, um, Thunderbolts is out. Marvel's Thunderbolts, the supposed to be the big movie of the summer, and it is starting out like a house on fire. So far, it is making crazy money. Of course, in the MCU, never the same as the comic books. Um, the Thunderbolts, as in the comics, I personally feel was a lot more interesting. Would have been more interesting, but um, it is what it is, right? I mean, that it's Thunderbolts in name only, and then they put a little asterisk in it, like saying, "Well, what's that supposed to mean?" And now I guess it's supposed to mean like this is now the new Avengers. Um, okay, I guess. I mean, now that has happened in the comics. They have split off the Avengers in many different teams. Avengers West Coast being probably the most noticeable. That was probably the I do believe it was the longest running Avengers book outside the originals. Was West Coast Avengers. They had like the international Avengers. Then they had a joke book, Great Lakes Avengers, which featured a bunch of just random oddball people with little powers but they wanted to be a superhero. So a Great Lakes Avengers. I didn't read that book. I thought it was too silly. Um, but I did collect West Coast Avengers. I remember when that came out. I collected a few issues of that. But the Thunderbolts themselves was a really interesting concept. Um, and it wasn't created by Julia Louis Dreyfus. It was actually created by none other than William Defoe, because it was the Green Goblin who formed the Thunderbolts, and they started out as the plan was maybe it was Baron Zemo, might have been Zemo. The gig was, or the Zemo was the leader. The gig was there was no superheroes. Something that they took them off the planet. There was no heroes, so Osborn says, "Why don't we get together a group of villains under the guise of being heroes, but then continue to do the criminal enterprises?" So that's what happened. They got together a group of villains, um, but the longer that they continued the fraud, sooner than later, some of them actually started believing that they were heroes, because they were doing heroic things. And so the longer the fraud went, the more serious some of these folks took in becoming heroes. But I'll finish that on another day. Our guest is here. The doorbell has rang, so you know what that means. And we go get our guests. We don't ever let them wait. So those who are here, Anthony, thank you so much. Let's go get our guest, Mr. Joe Leone from Greet Your Demon. Here we go.
Hey, hey, hey. Oh,
Hey, you're not Adrienne or Remy. What?
unfortunately not. There's times I
I,
wish. Oh, if I put my head like this, the
welcome back.
lighting is perfect. If I move it, it gets bad. All right.
Welcome back. Even though they're not here, I explained what happened. Even though they're not here, that still won't stop us from talking about your winning streak. This is your, I believe this is your fourth time that you've been with us. Um, and every single time, I am just left in awe of the girl, especially the actresses that you find. I swear, every casting director in America should go over there and take a workshop from Joe here on how to find fresh faces, because you are, sir, the premier that I have talked to. I don't know how you do it. It's a gift.
Yeah, I mean, for this cast, like as you witnessed, by watching the film, there's a lot of, the parts alumni in there. Like, even just the few films that you've seen a lot of familiar faces there, right?
Yeah,
Um, and just to give you the quick background on Remy and casting. So in 2018, I was casting Reap, which was going to be the first like kind of bigger endeavor of a feature. And Remy was one of the people who auditioned, and I loved her. I mean, I could tell she was very like green and fresh, and I loved her. But like that cast was, um, it's the cast was just you saw the film Reap. It's just that was I had the perfect cast already. So I was like, but I need to. I think she seems very cool. I want to work with her eventually. So I got her in as a small part into the next thing I did, which was Blood Falls, which was a witch movie, and she had a small part in that, but she crushed it. And then I met her in person, and I was like, oh, this is a really very cool individual who's super committed and just very talented and just fresh, just natural talent. Um, and then yeah, so from that point on, we then I had her as the lead in Parts Two, and uh, another a little bit more of a serious horror called Death Sentences. So now at this point, Remy and I we worked together a bunch. So it was this role was just ideal for her because when you talk to her eventually, she can tell you her connection to the role or whatever. But yeah, she's just phenomenal. She can do like comedic, she can do super serious, and in this role, as you witnessed, there's some really really big acting moments in it that if the cast wasn't
uh,
there,
this is
it would
this is a
suck.
very
So,
interesting. This is a very interesting turn for you. I thought.
mm,
I definitely thought it was like it's almost like it's alternating, in a sense. It's like, because I picked you up with Reap,
yeah,
and that was great. It was a horror film. And then we did Breakup Mountain, which was a dark comedy.
yeah,
And then we did Scared to Death, back to horror.
yeah,
And now here we are with the Creature Demons. And despite the title, this is a drama. This is a straight drama. This is not, and it's a powerful one. And
exactly,
it surprised me, but it didn't. It was like, to me, it's just like it's like you sitting there saying, "Don't stereotype me. Don't type. I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
just a horror
Pigeonhole
director.
me in the
I can do horror, but I'm more than that. I can do comedy, Breakup Mountain. I can do now. It's like I could do heavy drama with Greaser Demons, um, and still retain the fact that you find all these amazing actors.
Yeah, and then so how Adrian came about was incredible. I mean, I have to give her all the credit in the world. The film was pretty much cast from I hardly had any new people in it. It was all people I'd worked with in some capacity. Except for there's a few of the demon roles that I needed some different kind of visuals, different looks for, so I had to cast those. But the person I had to play the Sharon part dropped out, and then I was scrambling to find this, this is the co-lead. And I had some people that were good, just things were working out and the time was getting very close. And then she popped up. I think I did like another emergency casting. She popped up and I was like, look, here's the deal. This character's French, or it doesn't have to be like perfect French. Because as for reasons that are kind of, I can't say, they're kind of spoilers, but whatever. So I was like, the character was French though, so like I was like, can you do a French accent? She's like, no, but I'll learn it in the week before we start. And then she just came and was just like a delight and was awesome and just had such good chemistry with Remi too.
Oh
So
my God, she was amazing.
yes.
I loved her. I mean, I love the accent. I
Yeah.
love the accent. I normally, I personally, my personal thing, I personally hate smoking in film. I personally hate that aspect. But you know
Yeah,
what?
but
It
she's
worked.
French.
Yeah, it worked here. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's her character. I get it. Um, and it's like, okay, and she's lovely. I mean, and she could, she was very good in this.
Yeah.
I,
And
I mean, I dare, she, both Remi and her they just had great chemistry.
yeah.
But I think the one that really surprised me the most, the one that really caught me by surprise, man, I can't, here we go. And that is the little girl who played the sprite, Sarah Jack.
Yeah, yeah. The
Oh my gosh, she was
grown woman,
she was
but
so much fun.
yeah, right.
Um,
Yeah, like that was one of the roles I needed to fill, and I wanted someone who was, a little like androgynous and a little just like had that clownish kind of vibe. And yeah, and she auditioned, and I was like, she's absolutely perfect. So
yeah, she is
yeah,
so
right.
damn. I was talking about her, and I was thinking, going like, there's just no way that this girl has not done or has not seen Rocky Horror Picture Show, because she was like, Magenta or Columbia, either one. I mean,
Yeah.
she was just perfect, and I thought she stole every scene she was in.
That's yeah, and it's
Really,
funny you say that, like just because I don't know. I have like my brain is just consistently just like movie quotes all the time. Usually it's like famous movies. But then there's like some lines that stick out because I've like edited all these films that I've seen the films like 10,000 times. So some of the lines are burned in my brain, and like a bunch of hers are like be doing something in the kitchen, and then I'll just be like, I'll think of like some way she did the thing or said a line, and it's like it's in there. But yeah, yeah, she was great. Definitely, like you said, I just got very lucky and blessed with this whole cast. But again, not all luck, is like I said, a lot of them were from the original Parched film.
I
I
saw
tried to
two
get
other
all
girls.
of the,
I saw Sal,
and then you've got yeah,
and
and then you've
Arena.
got Sal and Arena. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I was like, oh, I
Both
can't.
look great in the movie too. I was like, yeah, of course, I was a little bummed out that we buried Osel under makeup, because she's so, and I was
Yeah,
thinking,
but her
oh,
makeup's my favorite. I just, yeah, her makeup like really, she just
and you know what?
pours them.
It fit her. It definitely fit her. And her Arena looked absolutely beautiful again. Every time I see her now, I'm thinking like, because I saw the music video, and
Mm,
the one she did, and she
yeah,
was like perfect Marilyn Monroe.
right,
And you're
right.
like, there's
Yeah,
Marilyn. I mean, she's but she was great in that. She was great,
and,
and she was great here. She was sassy. She was
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
sassy. Yeah.
Um, and a funny thing about that role, actually, because that's the Raga demon, which is the demon of just like kind of hedonism, and the demon of just like gluttony, kind of. So when I originally wrote the role, I was thinking that demon was going to be. I was actually picturing someone I know, like a big, heavy dude who was just like going to be gluttonously like eating fries the whole time, and like I had this whole image. And and as I was doing the casting, she popped up for one of the other roles, and then I just had like an epiphany. I mean, whatever, but I just was like, wait, what if I went a different direction? And I just had the gluttony role be more of like a lust and more of like, um, and so then I was like, this is going to work, and I tweaked
Mhm.
the dialogue a bit, and I think she just was perfect for that role, for the the um the id demon, the
I'm
raga.
like I said, you have the Midas touch when it comes down to these actresses. It's like it's really something. It's like, man, it's like as soon as you hear that you're making a new movie, it's almost like the plot secondary. It's like instead of saying, "What are we doing this time?" It's like, who's he gonna find this time? Because you always find the most interesting people to put in your films.
Hey, I
Um,
mean, whatever gets people, clicking on it, streaming it, then
right.
great.
Um,
That's
yeah,
whatever.
I want to throw my 2 cents in here because I talked to Peter from Bayview, and
Mm,
um and I was telling him about the interview, and I said my review is going to come out in a couple of days, but I said he says, I asked him, are you going to be doing a hard copy of this, home release? He goes, I don't know, I think we're doing streaming now. All I want to say from my 2 cents is, please, please, please make this a home release movie. I would love to own a copy of this movie. Not just on streaming. I want to own a copy so I can watch it whenever I want to. Um,
yeah,
Man,
yeah. I mean,
this is a movie that needs to be seen by a lot of people because we're talking about, we're talking about a casting and lighthearted moments here, but we're going to get into the movie itself here in a couple of minutes. But make no mistake, Greet Your Demons is and I love the interesting pacing of it. It's a very, very well done.
yeah, I
It,
wanted to, right. I just really wanted to do with the pacing, and I was like, I don't know, I'll probably lose some people in the beginning, but I wanted to just have it really kind of slowly unfolding. Like she's just really understanding the situation. And just for anyone who's listening, just a quick synopsis is um, this girl, Helena, she wakes up, but it turns out she's really waking up just in her own mind, and she's in a coma. And then this other character comes along that's a guide, Sharon, who Adrienne plays, and is like, listen, if in order for you to wake up, you're going to have to confront all of your own personal demons first, and you're going to have to just deal with them, and then we'll talk about getting you back on the earthly plane. So that's the premise of the movie, just in case anybody is like, what are you guys talking
you know,
about? Demons?
it's interesting. When I watched it, I've seen I mentioned it too. I mean, I've seen the story before. There's Dying to Sleep, I saw, which was excellent. Ghost Stories with Martin Freeman was really great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
On and then The Abandoned with Jason Patrick all had that. To me, it's an
Okay.
interesting story, and I tell you the truth, I sort of don't understand why. And of course, Diving Bell and Butterfly, the
Yeah, I mean, of course.
locked in syndrome, and
Yes, yeah, drama.
it's a tremendous plot line, but I don't think people use it nearly enough because it's like I don't see it very often. I don't. It's like years before I see a movie like this, and
Mm,
but I liked what you did with your movie a lot. Very much. Um, I like the way you turned it around. It's not your
yeah,
usual. Okay, maybe they party too hard, maybe they got hit by a car. This was a little bit more serious.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, a lot more has a lot to talk. It has a lot to say. Um,
right.
where did the idea come from, Joe? I mean, where did you come up with the idea or to create this film?
Yeah, so like a lot of people during 2020, I was spiraling just in my apartment, like slowly losing my mind in quarantine. And Actually, I have to do a shout out to my good friend Tara Glazier. She runs a yoga studio, Abaya Yoga, which is in Brooklyn. And I've taken classes with her, but I started doing the online classes as a way to kind of keep some sanity. So then I was getting more into like the yogic kind of philosophy a little bit. I mean, I'm not trying to pass myself off as some yogi, but I just it was great for my health and to be physical. But I also she gives very interesting lessons. She mentioned, I mean, I kind of stole the thing from this one person has a book called Taking Your Demons to Tea, and it's a yogic philosophy about how instead of like fighting your demons, if say it's alcohol, instead of like fight, like you sit down with them, you try to understand why you're craving this thing. And anyway, so I just heard that, and I was like, well, what about if these demons weren't metaphorical and they were actually in physical form, and you really did have to have these conversations with them. So that's kind of where the idea came from. And then I was like trying to ram in a bunch of other stuff from Greek mythology, just to give you like a little Easter egg thing. So the I don't know if you know much about Greek and Roman mythology. They have like this thing that happens where when the dead body goes over on the river Styx, going to the underworld,
They have to
there's
pay
this
with
guy.
coin.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
this guy,
I get
Charion, Charion, however you say it in the Greek, who is like the one who leads the souls through this area to the nether region. And I was like, well, what if I was like, what if instead of it being this old weird man, it's like this attractive French woman who's kind of doing this journey
Oh
with the
yeah, I
soul.
can't see anything wrong with that.
Right. I was like, let's make it more fun. So I don't know. I just had the idea just was birthed out of a lot of things going on during quarantine and my own like insanity. And I just was like, yeah, I would like to do is tell this story that's a little bit more, it's simple story, it's a very basic premise, but it's just a little more in depth as far as like human emotions and not just like,
I don't know if it's simple. I might have to disagree about that. I don't think it's simple. I don't think it's simple. I think it's impactful. I mean, there's a lot of layers to this. I
yeah,
mean, every demon that Helena meets, it's a story all of itself.
yeah,
And that's not simple to do. Put those layers on top of each other. It's almost,
yeah.
and there's a little bit. Not only is there a little bit of Greek and not only is there a little bit of Greek and Roman mythology in there, but there's some Christianity in there too.
Oh
Because
yeah.
if you think about it, what she's going through, like it's almost like Job. Everything
Mhm.
happened with Job. He had this taken away, this taken away, this, and you sit there and you're like, man, how much more can I take?
Yeah,
And
that's a
where
great.
Job found his way, Helena finds her way.
Right, right. And it's a
It
little
may be a little
Dante's Inferno
controversial.
that way.
I mean, you might get some controversy out of this, which wouldn't be a bad thing, but you
I,
might
you
get some
know,
controversy about that.
yeah, I don't know. I gotta try and push it in maybe some religious forums and see if I can get, any sort of press will be appreciated because, it's always a struggle to get it out there as we've discussed many times. But, that's why I love doing this with you. I appreciate it very much. And but yeah, it's no it's it, she's also, Sharon is also talking about some Buddhist philosophy in there and some other stuff. I just rammed a bunch of stuff in, but yeah, definitely Christian. I see the Job. There's yeah, I just try to make it like this kind of old, this feeling of this mythic kind of feeling, old but in just everything updated, modern. So
Now, I was curious, how old is Helena in this film? Because I was thinking about this and I'm like, is she? Because like trying to figure it out. Like she seemed to be like between her like 24 to 27. Or
what
did you?
27?
Huh?
Did you say 27?
Yeah, I thought I had her age is between 24 and 27.
Yeah, no, I definitely she's got to have. I think I had her in the script as 25 or 26 because it's like, she's still young. But in her young life, she's had all these things happen to her. It's a lot of trauma, and then it's just. She tried to after college be on her own. It just wasn't working out, and then she's like back home with her. Yeah, speaking of Christianity, her mother, who's super Catholic, um, and yeah, so she's had like a rough go at it since college. It's just basically been one horrible life experience.
And I would be dismissive if I would be wrong if I didn't come talk to you about the parents. I thought they did a great job.
Oh,
Uh,
great! Yeah,
very true to form. The mom was perfect. I've seen that. I've seen
yeah,
exactly.
right.
He was not. I know some people might say that and like, well, she was overwrought. But that's only because you never been in those shoes. I think
Right, right,
she, she,
exactly.
she
Yeah,
she played that role exactly how she played it. And the dad as well. This strange dad. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, sometimes it could draw people together, but sometimes not. And those
yeah.
two fought.
Yeah, I tried to, yeah, right. With their characters, I tried to make them where, to not be so, the mom is pushing her, like, her um, ideology on, you know, on on everybody around her, and the dad is just like, he's not a believer as much, and he's more a realist. But they both are coming from a good place. They both wanted to help her, their daughter. They're both struggling with things. And I thought, yes, both those actors, Jennifer and Andreas, did phenomenal. I was so actually with Jennifer. She for the little kid role, the Helena as a young like 4 or 5 year old. Her daughter auditioned, and who was great too. She's a great actress. Her daughter, but she just didn't look. She just didn't look anything like Remi, and I was like, it's not going to work. But I saw she was an actress, and I liked her headshot. I was like, do you want to audition for the mom though? Because that's open. And then she did, and then so I
I'm
felt
I'm stuck, stuck in the mom role. Really, I'm not. No, I. Uh, but she did great. She did great. The dad did great. I was just like, I'm like, man. I mean, some aspects of that. While I was watching it, man, I'm thinking some aspects of this movie hit a little too close to home for me. You know,
okay.
because of the DNR. It's like
Mm, yeah, I mean that's
I
something.
had to deal with that. I had to deal with that. And that's a heavy, heavy thing to have to carry. Like,
Yeah,
and you gotta be fucking brave to follow through. And then like the mom, I mean, she might have signed that paper, but by God, it
yeah.
changes. Um, So, now where did you meet her at? Has she worked with you before? What
So
about the gentleman who played the dad?
yeah, no, both of them came in from just auditions. Just I was saying with Jennifer, she was trying to get her daughter the little kid role, and then I saw her and I was like, no, I think you'd be good for the mom. Um,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, and Andreas, yeah, he was new. Yeah, I needed like characters of that age. I needed actors of that age. I don't have that big of an arsenal. It's slowly building, trying to get people of all different age groups covered in casting. So I have different ones to choose from if they are nice enough to do the movies in the future. But yeah, so now that was our widest age range in the cast, I think, because we had our youngest person ever in a Parched Productions with Sophia, who was like adorable and was she's great too. She's like a professional actress now. She's like, I think she was on Broadway. I don't know, this, kids this stuff.
I just think it's funny. I think it's funny because you've heard sometimes that happens. Like you see two parents, you see a parents or brothers or sisters will go down to support the
Yeah,
one
yeah.
brother, to go out there, and they end up walking away with the role. And it's like,
Right, right.
like I can see her driving home and going like, well, how'd you do? And well, the little girl, the little daughter says, well, I didn't get any roles, but mom did.
Yeah, but mom did exactly. Yeah, I mean, no, but her daughter is great. She's working. She's an agent and everything, so she's doing better than me. So it's all good.
No, um, how now I know this might be a bit sensitive, but man, the one thing that just absolutely it just made me so had the feels for you for this. But how did you shoot this film? I mean, what was your budget for this, Joe? Because I I just I just found myself just going like, give this guy, like I told this to Peter, give this guy give him guy a budget. I've said this to you before. Give him a budget. I just love to see what you could do with it,
Yeah,
because I just like I'm watching this film and I'm going like, man, it's just I just am I was just frustrated for you because I'm like, this is a great story, great performances,
right,
and
right. Right. It's just it's I mean, I wrote it specifically to have the majority of the story take place in the house, which is, by the way, the house I grew up in. My mom was there the whole time, and and my mom was, bless her heart, just feeding everybody the whole time. It was, she's a producer on it because she was.
but she fed the crew. She fed the
What's
cast and crew.
Oh yeah, I mean she was really helping out. Yeah, she's
Oh,
a
that's awesome.
producer on it. So yeah, yes, it was that's the house I grew up in, and that's also, I have to say, this is kind of a side, but that was our dog Lamb Chop, who just sadly
Yeah,
he just passed away just this week actually. So we're all very sad and mourning him. But I was kept thinking about how I'm
yeah.
very.
I was thinking when she killed or she oh sorry when she took Lamb Chop out for that walk. I was actually sitting there going like, okay, now it'll be time for the little demon to come over there and kick some butt. I was waiting for that. And I'm like, no, and she did not do that to Lamb Chop. Bring back Lamb Chop. But yeah, your dog was very
but
cute. And I'm
but
sorry about the passing.
Yeah, it's taking it very hard. Thank you, but I was saying I'm very
Did you
glad
put
though.
Lamb?
He
Did you
lives
give
on
Lamb
though in the film. He's immortalized on digital. So
Yeah, did you put him in the casting? I'm gonna see if you put him in casting. If he's on the
oh
role a
yeah,
role
he
call.
is. He's playing
Is he?
himself.
You know what? I gotta be honest with you. I love people who do that with their pets. They put them in the movie. I do. I think it's hilarious when they give the cat or
Yeah,
dog.
yeah,
I think it's I think
yeah. Also, I
so
don't
damn cute.
understand why like dogs, or especially dogs, if they're like playing a role in a movie, I like, what do you want to make the name of the character, the dog, like their actual name, just so they'll like listen better? Or I don't know, maybe they're so well trained they like know their character name too. I was
Did
thinking about that.
okay. So once again, I'm putting myself on the firing line here. But so so last week I watched The Thing for the very first time.
The
You know,
Thing, the first time you John Carpenter's The Thing?
oh yeah, here we go.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
it's the
just
first time.
I'm not like shaming you. I'm just saying I'm just surprised. It's just like
Well,
such
no,
a
yeah,
classic.
this is the first time I saw The Thing, 1982, but I was listening to the commentary with John Carpenter and Kurt Russell, and they were talking about the scene where the dog comes in before he takes over and he says that the dog was like half wolf and half Malamute, and it says when he came in, the dog was a natural actor. The dog
Oh yeah.
came into the room, didn't look at the camera, came in, looked to the side, and it came through the side, then turned around and looked at the other door, and then walked through the other door. Didn't acknowledge anybody. The people filming the filming didn't acknowledge them at all. You would think that the dog didn't see him at all. He saw him, but he didn't react to him. It was like one of the most impressive pieces of acting I've ever seen any animal do. It was like That dog is amazing.
You
How
know what that's
and
called?
it
That's
was not the handler. The handler didn't do anything. The
yeah.
dog did it all on its own.
That's called
Uh,
mutt
oh,
method. That's
I'm telling you, I'm telling you,
Mongol method.
I was gonna say before the end of this week's over with, I'm gonna probably end up losing my fanboy card. Chuck saying, Pat, what? The thing is amazing. I know.
But yeah.
I make it worse when I tell people that I watched the prequel.
Oh, well, interesting. Right, like yeah, yeah. I mean, you should also watch some behind the scenes. Talk about like budget filmmaking, like you know how they did the special effects, which were groundbreaking at the time and just so cool. I don't know if that was Stan Winston.
Oh,
Now I'm
Rob
gonna get
Bottin.
hard canceled if I'm not remembering exactly who it was. I think it was Stan Winston who did the special
No,
effects, but so
It was
cool.
Rob Bottin.
But
Rob
yeah,
Bottin did it. Yeah, and Carpenter gave him $2 million out of his $15 million budget to work on the effects.
I mean, you know, and think about it, how now that you've seen it, you see how many things have like since, you know, paid homage to that over the time
Sure.
in horror filmmaking. Oh, but just a quick go back to what you said before. Yeah, no, of course, I had no money again for this movie. It was like it was so we were still basically just kind of coming out of COVID. But I will say, just as far as you were like, oh, shooting this, I wanted to acknowledge the DP, this guy David Schmada, who came from he was coming anyway, but he's French himself, and so he came he had again with you know such little money happening here, he had really innovative ideas on how to shoot things, and you know even without you know I didn't really have I had very few I had a few digital effects VFX after effects in there, but you know we did a lot of stuff practical as much as we could. He had really cool ideas how to like just there's some shots you can see in the movie that are just like he did stuff with mirrors that really elevated scenes that could have been otherwise you know just you know acting's great, but the scenes themselves could have been boring because we're in the same set the whole movie essentially. So he did great, and also he was also acted as inadvertently our French coach, because anytime there was a word that I had in the script that Adrienne didn't know how to pronounce, or that was particularly difficult French I had in there, some of the stuff was, you know, weird idioms in French, that he was like coaching her the whole time too. So that was like,
Is she what nationality is Adrienne?
I
Does
think
she speak?
she's mixed. Lauren, she may be Italian. I don't know. I think she's several things. She's yeah, she's so great. We actually I like roped her into doing a live televised like video theater thing that I've done with some of these other I did another one with Estelle, but I did one where I got to act with her with Adrienne in it. We were on like this like a Zoom date that was like and I was like a serial killer. Anyway, it was fun. I'm just rambling now, but I just yeah, I did love this cast, every single one of them. All of the demons I thought did excellent, and of course Remi is just you know, if you see the other I'll send you
Remy is
the
strong. Remy is strong, and you know, she, you know, she looks like you said. You know, you talking about earlier about she could. She looks like she could be. She could actually. I saw her like. She could. I bet she'd be awesome in some action. You know, action
she's
movie.
actually yeah she actually filmed
She's got a
uh,
physicality
two
about her.
she filmed two action movies in Jamaica, I think, in somewhere in the Caribbean, that haven't hasn't come out yet, but a while ago. But yeah, you see her in the picture. She looks like fierce, you know. But her range is great. I would say like the other movie where she, you know, it was really her is the whole movie. It's this movie Death Sentences, where she plays a writer who's got writer's block, and then her cousin's ghost pops up and is like, look, I know how to finish your book. I'll do it for you, but you have to figure out who my killer was because it's like unsolved. So then they do this like crisscross swap, and Remy just carries the whole movie. It's all her. I'm a little reluctant to like be pushing that movie because that's one I did with another distributor who all I'll say is to young filmmakers out there, when you're getting distribution deals, either read the fine print really well, or ask around about the company. Because now if someone asks me, I'm like, oh, Bayview all the way. If you're lucky enough to have Bayview distribute your film, go with them, because they're great. They do everything possible. They know how to do it. And some of these other distributors out there are really looking to take advantage of you and screw you out of.
Shout out to, we got to shout out Peter Castro from
Yeah,
Bayview Entertainment.
love Peter. Yeah,
Human
he's the
being, has nothing but filmmakers. Whatever he could do to push filmmakers and their films, he does. He's been a tremendous help to me in the show here. Yeah, shout out to, and he's been
yeah.
on the show, so shout out to Peter for that. But
And
yeah, shady distributors, that
I mean,
uh,
I'm just saying, just if you're involved in the business and all, just like do your due diligence. Sometimes distributor may offer some flashy, kind of producer director candy that you're like, oh, you're going to get an interview in this thing, and then it turns out it's you just need to look at the breakdown. Just if you even want to recompense the budget, if you self-funded, you don't, you want to at least break even, right? So it's a minimal goal here. But anyway, I mean, I don't care. It's all about this wacky art form that we're doing here for me. So
I do. I mean, it's like Chuck had just mentioned before. He says he had not heard any of your films, but we'll put the link in the description, and it's just all about finding. To me, it's just like how I found you. I found you, just it was blind. It was like I got a copy of Reap from the Bayview, and that's how I met you.
yeah. Did they send out their quarterly, or their something like, oh, here's all our new releases? They send you a box and they're just like, go wild, or
Yeah, because I had asked him, because a friend of mine had been doing some reviews, and I said, I said, hey, I was looking for someone to do reviews with, and that I could, it's someone that could service my blog, and so that's how I met Bayview, and I wrote in there and I said, hey, I got a blog, I do reviews, I sent them samples of it, and I said I'll do the interviews, and then and the first thing, I think the first box I got was I had a Reap in it. And so I
oh,
just,
okay, so that was
and
first back.
I watched Reap, and I was like, I was like, wow, this is a cool movie. And of course, Annabelle,
And yeah, and you've got totally enamored with Annabelle, which, again,
yeah,
I
well,
want, ideally one day I'll get, I'd love to get, the full
yeah,
cast of Reap back together to do stuff. A lot of them are just doing, a lot of big professional things now. And I can't afford them anymore. So, but I would love to eventually, that's kind of the struggle too right now, is I have I've been, for myself, because I was putting out at least one movie every year, sometimes two. The struggle right now is I have a couple of projects that I would love to do, but I just can't, right, because of financial reasons. And also another issue is that I have some that I've gotten some other directors and producers kind of attached to, but it's no guarantee at all. They could just sit there forever. I would rather just do them myself, because I'm like, I know I can I can get some facsimile of
but isn't that what you hope is the goal, though? Is
yeah.
to is to launch somebody, and for them, I mean, yes, you love for them to come back, but when you do launch them and they are out there, it's, to me, it's like that's a signal that you've done what you
Right,
want to
right.
do,
Well,
you know.
I feel like some of them are on the cusp, and I just, what I'm saying is, there's I'm not going to get all into it because it's but there's a project that I was on the cusp of having happen, with a real budget, that I wasn't even going to be directing or anything. It was just going to be my script, but I was sent the producers my cast list. I was like, you have to audition these people. They're all awesome. I want to be the one to help facilitate them. Some of them, get to the next level. Yeah, I
Sure.
would love that too, to actively be doing that. Some of them are already doing it on their own. But I really want to go to the next level with the people that have been so awesome and helped me, that are just super talented and deserve it. And yeah, of course, it's the most, or one of the most competitive fields they can get into. But you know, everyone
Have
deserves
you
a
thought about
shot.
doing that? I mean, have you thought about doing that in between projects? Because I think you'd be excellent at it. Have you seriously thought, okay, I know you're a filmmaker, you're a storyteller, but in between projects, have you ever considered becoming the casting director?
Yeah,
Because
but you know how you get into casting is you intern at the, if it's a big casting place, you intern at the casting place, and then you're one of the junior. You have to go through this whole like long process. I know this just because when I was acting more, especially doing commercials, I was seeing all the same people. It's harder to get into like film casting than, it's not that it's that difficult. It's just you have to put in the time, and I'm already, I'm getting older every day, amazingly. So I'm not going to like start out as an internship, but if in another kind of direction, I would love to do that. I think it's so fun. I love doing auditions with people. Here's my only problem with casting is I hate, like, I usually love almost everybody, and I hate having to choose. Like, for instance,
oh,
I couldn't get Remi into Reap because I had all the roles already set, and I just was like, oh, I don't want this person to think I don't think they're great. But luckily I was able to.
do you have a role? I mean, let's just do you have like a Rolodex of all the people you work with? Do you have like a rotation? Like, like, okay, I used Annabelle and Reap, and then for the, okay, but so I can't use her the next film because I used her there. So
Yeah,
next one, I'm gonna use Remy, and
it's
then
weird. No,
okay, got Remy.
it's more like I like sometimes envision certain people in, now that that I've worked with a bunch of them, I envision certain people in the parts as I'm like writing them, or at least I'm kind of thinking that way. And then sometimes they can't do it or they don't want to. It doesn't always work out. So yeah, so then I just, you go through it. I'm like, who's gonna fit here? And then sometimes you don't have that perfect person, and then you got to do more auditions. And I mean, I love it. I love doing it with them. It's fun, but I want to cast everybody. I feel bad.
Uh, so I want to touch upon this again because I think she sparkled so much. But now a lot of the actors you mentioned, their experience, they got some skills behind them and whatnot. But then you have someone like Sarah come on there with, I think she had only one or two credits before she at least it's listed on her IMDb. Um,
Right.
here she is. She's really really new, and you're used to working with, with experienced actors you worked with before. So what led you to take a chance on her?
Well, to
what
that I
what,
would
what
say two things, right? Like, because I come from a theater background myself, right? And a lot of these actors they went to theater school. They're from theater backgrounds. They haven't done as much TV, film, just on camera stuff. Some people, like, I wasn't even aware of what kind of credits she had before or not, but she just killed the audition. So I was like, I'd be a
yeah,
moron not to cast this person if I was going to go through their resume and see what, but also like a lot of people have. I actually had a very difficult time making the transition from theatrical acting to on camera because I'm like still too big sometimes. It's very hard to be, especially when you've done theater. You're just, everything is hark this,
yeah.
you're projecting. And um, but a lot of them have they may not have a lot of film credits, but they've done theater, so they're very well versed in the art of performance and acting. So, but then sometimes, yeah, someone comes around new, like, and they're, Remi had just done, I think, like one, and she'll tell you her background, but I think she just done one or two classes, and then she was auditioning, and then she's just magnetic, and she's like she's sparkles.
Well, she's
So
cool. She cool. She like I said, she's very versatile. I mean, I can see her in so many different roles, different roles.
yeah.
Like uh, uh, it's interesting. Um, she's got the physicality about her, and also also the no bullshit look too. You know, there's a
Yeah.
couple of times where she's in there and it's like she's just looking at something or you know or hearing something and she's got that look in her eye like, yeah, this ain't gonna work for me. You know,
Yeah.
you know, like Helena's sitting there going, "Err." Um,
Yeah, I would say that she's with
did
all
any
of her
did any
roles.
I mean, what you told the cast what they're auditioning for in the storyline, did anybody of them back out? Because you're telling such a dark story and it's so prevalent. Did any of them get uncomfortable with the subject matter and or approach you about it and say, you know, like, you know, I'm struggling a little bit with, you know, with what we're doing here. Did or you know, or did everybody realize the importance of the story and why it needed to be told?
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, if anyone had any issues with the morality or the sensitive nature of some of these kind of taboo topics, they didn't voice it to me, and you know, they they just probably just wanted to be in the movie and make it, so they didn't say
Well, for
anything.
some people, I mean,
Um,
it's a very sensitive subject. You know,
yeah,
it's not one that a lot of you know, maybe some actors will leap into it, but there's some
right.
that,
But
huh?
here's the secret for my casting too, and it's not about like that I'm even good at. Um, so good at finding talent. I think the secret is this for Parks Productions is I always could judge them like, and I will ask them like, are you comfortable, you know, going in the woods and just like, you know, filming this thing that which typically you would shoot for a week in 2 days, like can you know, can you hang, can you like roll with this like crazy way that we shoot, it's like Estelle was talking about the other time, which is it's like bing bang boom. um and I get a feel for their personality beforehand, and I just can tell who's like cool, who can hang. And sometimes, you know, you have someone who is uh you know, their talents off the charts and their looks are incredible, but it's like if they're not going to fit the vibe of the Parks production, it's not gonna they're not gonna like it, it's not gonna work out, they're gonna quit, or you know. So I feel like maybe the vetting process happens long before they get to set.
Because I think I mean, if people when people talk Joe Leone, I think a lot of times the first thing people are going to think about is horror films. You know, so like you know, like when our you know when you came up to me and you say, hey, you know, greet your demons. You know, the first thing I hear see her the title is like greet your
Right,
demons.
right.
First thing I'm thinking about it's a horror film. You know, it's a supernatural horror film. Of course, then I saw the cover of it, and then I'm going like, okay, well, I don't necessarily think that's going to be doesn't look like a horror film. You know, it looks like it's, you
Hmm.
know, I don't know what it looks like, but it doesn't really look like a horror film. The lettering did, you know, the lettering did.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it's got demons in there. It's gonna have some kind of horrificness. Yeah, the
but
horror
then
is the horror of, you know, reality. That's the horror, and you know,
yeah,
yeah, there's no
real life.
scares, there's no jump scares, but there's things that are just that are so dark. They're made to make you kind of just think about aspects of life that are yeah, sometimes the scariest things are just the reality of
Okay,
life.
here's one thing I think you're extremely brave about
Okay.
is the fact that you never condemned her.
Mm,
You never condemned Helena. And Sharon, you know, when Sharon, you know, Sharon didn't either.
right.
You know, you know, and the ending would probably be
Don't
what not
spoil it. What?
not the ending
Okay.
is not what people are gonna expect. You know, I think most people have when they hear about the subject, they have the in their head, you did
Yeah.
something different as to sit there and say, he actually, I think to me in a way, I think I don't know if this is too strong a word, but it's one I'll use. You celebrated her choice. It was
Hmm.
it was her choice. And
Right. And
you didn't crush it. You didn't lay it on like if this was done as a faith-based film, it would have been done. It would have flipped over like a pancake, right?
right, right.
They would have did everything different than what you did for Greet Your Demons.
Right, right.
That takes
Right.
a
It
lot
is
of
what I was
bravery
trying to
because
do with this was, yeah, it was just it is faith based. It's just it's not the faith that people necessarily are, you know, subscribing, you know, like the common thing. You know, it's something else. There's I think it's a super spiritual film if you're into
Mhm.
that. But you know, if you'll look at it with an open mind, like the audience kind of has to take it with an open mind too, to kind of see that. Yeah, and I just figured, yeah, that's really good point, because that's what I was striving for, was like, I'm not going to judge this character. I'm going to, and you see the strides that she's making and her journey, even though it's made, you know, again, I won't say too much,
The
I
pacing,
do definitely have to say, just because when you mentioned the ending, it always makes me, that's where I'm like, both of their acting in that ending, I think, just really just takes it home. And when I watch it, I would get chills, you know, even editing it a billion times, like just Remi's performance and Adrienne, the two of them together, those little moments, those little subtle things they're doing. Talk about like the wide range of acting, going like full on emotion, and then to just doing these subtle little looks like at the end. Anyway, but yeah,
um,
I
I
just
want to talk
so
about the.
grateful.
I definitely want to talk. I mentioned before. I want to definitely want to talk about it now. Is the pacing of the film?
Hmm.
It's really dynamic because it is so. It's so subtle. It's re. I mean, when it first comes on and the story starts unlaying out, I was like, this looks like an after school movie.
Right, right.
It did. It was like after school. I'm sitting there waiting for it, waiting for it. It's so rated G. You know, it's like it's very. I'm thinking, wow, okay, this is really different. I mean, is this like a TV movie? I mean, I mean, it would be different, but I'd be a challenge at the same
Right,
time.
right.
His background is horror, but then it starts to slowly get darker. It's very slow, very subtly. With each clash of each demon, it gets a little bit a layer added on to it,
Right.
and at the right time. It's not rushed. It's not rushed, and it's not drawn out. It's perfect,
Yeah.
and it gets
Thank you.
darker.
Yeah.
It gets darker before it gets lighter, and that was some excellent storytelling. And the plot was just. I was intrigued. I mean, quite honestly, this might be, in my opinion, the movies I've seen. I think this might have been be your finest work.
Thank you. And when I was like, because it took a long, long time to edit this movie, because I had Elias, my friend, who's edited a bunch. He came in the beginning, and then he had other commitments, and then and then there was all these sound issues, and Kevin, who's awesome, who did all the music, and he did in Death Sentences. He scored the whole thing, and this too. And I just think the music in this is just off the charts, so good. Like I like listened to some of it just like on my own. But um, yeah, it's just
It
the
speaks
pacing,
to your
the
directing
goal of
too.
it was. Hmm.
It speaks to your directing too. Your skill as a
Oh,
director, for me,
thanks.
was the fact that this is a sort of a story that could easily get out of hand. As far as the melodramatics and the overacting and the over
Hmm.
emotion. This is the
Yeah,
type of movie with a subject that could happen. And I thought that you kept a really strong hand on it to make sure that it didn't happen that way.
yeah, because I
And
mean,
there's
right,
some cute things in there. There's a couple of humorous things in there. I mean,
yeah.
every time Sarah comes on there, I mean, it's a even though she's a demon, uh, but every time I see her come on there and she smiles and it's like it takes just enough of the edge off a little bit. She was perfect in doing that, and it allows the viewer to be able to take a breath, and to relax a few minutes before going on and see what's coming up next. Where's
Yeah.
Helena taking us now? Or Sharon, where is she going to take us now? And that, like I said, that takes some skill. I mean, I've seen movies like this before, and they just fall apart because they can't maintain the pace. They can't maintain
Mhm.
the restraint.
Yeah, because what I tried to do with just in the script, like, was that, like the demons as she encounters them in her life, because it's all flashbacks to her like growing up, and was, that the least, like, I just had to go from like least bad to worst, as it went on, and not to make that so obvious, like but just to kind of like subtly do that. So it starts off with lying, which she learns as a little kid, and lying you can do sometimes to save someone's feelings. It's not always bad, so that's why she's a little imp, and lying is bad. But it's not like when you get towards the end. I don't want to be spoiling stuff, but I will say just. It's making me think about all the demons now. The guilt demon, so awesome. Rage demon, who maybe you remember from Reap, Robert Morgallo. I thought he just crushed it. I mean, talk about like he had some just like deadpan, like really subtle acting. And then Angelica, who you know from Reap, also as like one of my favorite demons there at the end. So I love her too. So. Love them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, this cast I was really was special place in my heart for them. Like they were all so good. I just love them. And
Oh yeah, it was great. It was great. It was great. I thought I recognized the actor, the Rage Demon. I'm going like I've seen him before. I just couldn't put it together. But Reap, yes, he was really good in Reap.
yeah, it's
And,
a small
I got
part.
something to throw you. I got something to throw you away after camera too, and I'm hoping that
Okay,
you'll say yes to it. Yeah, I got something I want to throw you away.
awesome.
Hopefully you'll do it with us. So you're already planning for the next show. We're bringing
Okay,
back. Um, that's right. And if you want to pop up, if you want to pop up too with the two ladies, that I'm down with that too.
yeah,
Um,
I was thinking. I was like, let me do a cameo, just take them off guard. But yeah, that's
uh,
great.
So now, I guess the most personal question I'll have here for you is:
Uh-uh.
have you been affected by your subject matter? Have you known people like Helena?
Oh, I mean, in I wouldn't say people, although I feel like everyone has different degrees of all of these things in our lives, right? We all have, moments where we're giving into our id, gluttony. We all have moments where we lie. We have moments where we're ashamed, hate ourselves in some way or another. So some people I know, yeah, over time, um, I saw a review. Someone said like they were like kind of they were saying like, do I have all these? It's like these are my demons. Yeah, some of them. I don't know. Maybe I'm in denial and need more therapy. But it's I have known people that have had major problems, and it's not everybody. It's not people's fault. Sometimes things are just there's trauma. There's things that happen to you as you live life, and we're all just trying to do our best and get by.
Uh, so yeah, well, I'm glad. What was it like selling this film? I mean, when because it's I mean, did you let like some distributors
Yeah.
they get a little antsy over something over the subject matter, like
I mean,
but did what
I
did
always
was it
send them. Yeah, I always send Peter and Baby. I send them the rough cut, or the as close to done cut as possible. I'm just like, here it is. Like if you like it, awesome. If not, I understand. Especially this one, it's like I didn't want it to be. In one part, I want it to be misleading that people are like, "Oh, it's demons. It's a horror movie. They're going to be all coming out and like dragging her to hell." But at the same time, it's a drama, but it's a fantastical drama. There's elements of fantasy and some elements of little thrills, little tiny specks of horror in there too. So, but yeah, I'm not trying to blindside anybody. That's why they did a cool poster for it. Bayview did, but my friend did the original poster, and I think if you see that, it's a little bit more kind of tells the story a little bit more
I
a little bit
I
more
like
accurately. Baby's doing a great job to get people to click on it, because they're like, oh,
right.
it's like you said, it's not overt, it's not over the top that it looks like there's these horrific monsters, but
Probably the only thing I would have changed about the poster is to bring the girls forward because they're
well,
back.
you take that up with the art department there. That's not. They did that. No, I'm so grateful that
Get
they
get me
do a
get me
lot
the
of that.
art. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I was like, man, because because they're so both so pretty. It's like, why
Well,
are
it's
we
a
putting
tease.
them
You
in the
got to like
background?
watch it if you want to
Bring
see them.
bring them forward. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
sheesh. I'll ask you, what was your? That's gonna be a funny question, but I'm just curious. What was your what was that your was that what was your wardrobe choice for the movie? Because that was interesting too. The wardrobe, because you had, the different mask, and like you had Osel and her costume, and you had Sharon. Ooh la la, you had Sharon at, like because we're going
Merci.
like man, if that's what it's gonna if
Mon
that's
Dieu.
if that's gonna be a guardian, man, I'm gonna go pack
Are
my
you ready to go? Just take me away now. Yeah, that's right. With the costumes, yeah, no, I some of the stuff I had like I like the Lying Demon, Sarah's. I had a lot of that stuff for her. That like that the old timey tuxedo and that hat she's wearing that was in my mom's like in the antique part of the house, and the other ones I just was like, bring what you got. We'll figure it out. But some of the stuff I had specific. Like
I,
arenas, I wanted
I
her in a
swear,
red.
every time I saw Sarah, every time I saw Sarah, I just kept waiting for Tim Curry to come to the next scene. I just kept on waiting. Where's Tim Curry at? Because he should be coming out right about now.
Oh, yes, she should totally get into. She would be great in a Rocky Horror,
Uh,
even when the
um,
live versions they do. Wait, I was gonna someone else. Oh, and like Angelica, I just I tried to match her and Remi up like almost exact, a little different, but almost because it's a
right.
version of herself. So yeah, I don't know the customs. We always just I ask them. I'm like, what do you got? Bring it. And half the time they have awesome stuff, and I'm like, perfect. Or sometimes I'll have like a color scheme, like the Raga Demon arena. I want her in red for sure. So that worked
She
out.
was great. I don't know if I said that, which I think I
Yeah.
did, but I'll say it
Yeah.
again. I adore her, and she's so cool. She is
Yeah.
she's
She's
so cool. She's gonna, it's gonna be interesting. Which of the actors do you see? I mean, I think I asked you this once before because we were talking about Annabelle. Um, but I mean, I guess I'm putting you on the spot here, but what who do you think is gonna break for you? I mean, it's got to be somebody's gonna pop. So I mean,
Yeah, I
Arena's
mean, what do you mean? For me, just in general, their career's going to take off. I
yeah,
mean,
Arena's like, I
yeah,
mean, she's right. I feel like she's right there.
yeah. No, she's because she's young still. Adrienne is working all the time. If you look at her credits, she's did a movie with Eric Roberts recently. I mean, she's one of the most hardworking people, one of the most
Oh,
professional
she's beautiful.
acting people.
Yeah, she's
Yeah, she
beautiful.
is. She is like she's so professional. She's great. She like knows her stuff. She got she learned that whole part in like a week. She's great, and she's already doing stuff. Alexis from Reap is blowing up. Is in two big one rom com because she moved to LA, which there you have it. So she's doing great. Alexis was Francesca in Reap. That's the red haired girl who gets. I can spoil that she gets killed like right away. She who gets
Yeah,
killed in the beginning, but she's in my
yeah,
other
that's
movie
right. I
Blood
know.
Falls. But I always knew Alexis is like has star quality. I was like, she just needs to find the right. She has the look. She's very unique, and her acting is just she's very natural. So
I
she's
tell
doing
you what's
great.
really, I'll tell you what's really funny, and I mentioned this too. I was sitting here and I go to the library, and I go there every Tuesday to pick up movies. And a lot of the time, to look for movies, and a lot of times they're all blind buys. I have no idea what these movies are. I just look at
That's
them, see if they
great.
have, see if they trap my attention. Then I just, I get them for a quarter. So I got this movie called Separation. I never heard of it. It never. I saw it. I picked it up and looking at it and going like, I never even heard a word about this. And I looked at this Universal Studios. I'm like, Universal Studios. I'm looking at it to 2021 and going like, man, I didn't hear a. It was so funny because when you say about major studios, how many times did there? I mean, you may not have seen the movie, but good Lord, you'll see an advertisement, you'll see a TV
Right.
ad, you'll see reviews. I
Yeah.
saw nothing.
Universal, MGM, you're gonna know about it in
Right.
passing.
So last week I watched the movie and I review it. I review it and I put it down there. And in it has two actresses in there. Like I had, I'm like, okay, it's a young teen actress named Violet McGraw, and there's this other lady in there called her name's Madeline Brewer. As soon as I put my review up, as soon as I put my review up, bam! For the last week, everywhere I've turned, I've seen nothing but Madeline Brewer.
Oh,
Never heard of her 10 days ago. Never heard of her 10 days ago.
yeah,
Bam, everywhere. It's like that, isn't it? Can it be like?
yeah,
Can
it
it be
is.
like that for a talent? I mean, one day, and it's like that. They're not working. They're working.
Right.
They're,
A lot of the time, you think, oh, this person came out of nowhere, and then you look at their credits, and they were like, oh, they were on As the World Turns in 1987. Like they've been working consistently. It's just there's just so many actors out there that, but then people just hit that moment like Goggins right now. He's in,
right.
to
Pedro Pascal.
I mean, I was
That
like,
guy.
yeah,
I mean, I'm just like everything I turn around, I see Pedro Pascal.
right,
I'm like,
right. People they hit it. Hey,
I know,
bless
yeah.
them. So yeah.
Um, so so what have you been doing to keep yourself, busy after this film's wrapped up? And how soon do you let a film go once it's done? I mean, once it hits the market, everybody's watching it. How long do you stay with that film before you start focusing on writing or writing for your next one, or have you already started writing
I
for the
never,
next?
I never stop. It's like I never stop. I'm writing all the time. This year I've written. I just finished yeah. I mean, I just it never stops. I'm always writing for myself. I'm writing for other people too. And right now, for the first time in a long time, I'm writing a script that I'm not going to try to push anywhere else. That I'm going to just keep for myself because I was like, I'm getting a little stir crazy from not being able to shoot something. So I'm going to just figure it out. And this fall, I'm going to shoot something. So I'm writing something now. Stay tuned. But yeah, I'm going to get it together.
You know what I can see you doing? I definitely can see you doing this too. I don't know why it just came to me and we're like, I bet that would be awesome if he did like a 20-minute short film on lamb chop.
Oh, the laptop chop documentary, the
Yeah.
chop doc. Yeah, my mother
I
would
was
like
thinking
that.
more like, you know what? I think you would, I think you probably, I bet it'd probably be the sweetest thing we'll probably see this year.
You know what? Maybe I will try to compile footage and do that as a last minute Mother's Day gift from my mom too. So that's not a bad idea.
Of it. That would be, that would be an awesome gift.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think I'm going to do that. It needs supplementing.
How old was lamb chop?
He was 17 and a half.
Oh
So
my.
I have to say, he's one of two great canine actors that we've had. We had Lamb Chop and Bane, which was Ariel, who you would know from she's been in a bunch of stuff, but she's the lead in Parts 3. But her dog Bane was in the movie Blood Falls I did with Annabelle's in that, and he had a big part. He had to do real acting. He was in like many scenes. So him and Lamb Chop are our two canine heroes. R.I.P. to them both. So anyway.
You and I are talking about these various actors, and I definitely want to ask you about one other actress, and I want to know if there's been any if you have managed to stay in touch with her.
Oh,
Uh, was
Jade.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, I see her stuff on Instagram. She's just that's another one who's gonna blow up. But she's mostly I see she's doing a lot of like big films in Italy. So who knows if she'll, cross the Atlantic again and come back here. I mean, she obviously can. Her English is impeccable. So but she's like blowing up in the Italian market
is
because I see her posts. So, good for her.
Joe Leone strikes again. I'm telling you, star maker here. Um, so what have you been doing for fun? I mean, what have you been doing? You
Fun.
got any plans for the summer? How was your, how have you been off the set? Um,
Yeah, I mean, I typically love traveling. I just haven't been able to with my family. There's been some just crazy stuff. So I've been kind of more of a homebody. But I've just been, there's I mean, the truth is, I've been very, it's been an anxious like 6 months. I've had some projects that were supposed to go, they were like greenlit, like bigger stuff, and that have just fallen apart. So I'm just kind of recalibrating. No fun. It's I have to keep working until I get something else going
yeah,
on. So
that
no
happens. I
fun.
mean, yeah, that's
But the truth.
it's so easy for. I mean, it's making a movie is so freaking fragile, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. That's the whole reason why I started doing things on my own in the first place, was after years of being frustrated with like the just everything, things, false promises, things falling apart, money falling through. That's I was like, I can do it on my own. I'll just take whatever money I can scrape together, and and now I'm thinking like you're like, what are you doing for fun? It actually is so much fun for me to be working on my own stuff and like shooting and directing, and so I'm gonna. That's the goal, is to whatever little trip I'll do will be great, but I need to for my own sanity. That's the funnest thing for me, is being on set, working, and working with these people, like any of these cast members I can see again. It's just tremendous for me. I love seeing them. They're like the parched fam. So
Now,
hope
now,
to do it.
writing for somebody else, is that hard? I mean, I watched there was a movie that was made a few years ago called Agatha, and Darren Lynn Bousman was hired to direct it. He was a hired gun, and
You mean
and
about the girl who's like the religious zealot who I love
yeah,
that actress, by the way. She's great. But okay, go on. Sorry.
uh, and they hired him to do the movie. And
Hmm.
all his movies, he does his commentaries on all his movies that he directs. So he's doing the commentary for this, and he's basically going on saying how you know he was a hired gun, and to direct the movie, and then he tried to share some insight, some thoughts with it to the producers, to help the movie along. Like, hey, I'm giving you the benefit of my experience here to tell
Hmm.
you that we could tweak, not taking over the project. I'm saying there's some things that could be tweaked a little bit to make it more impactful. He's got his background. He did Saw. He's done some Saw movies. His movies have made tens of millions of dollars.
Right. Right.
Prop. And so it's like, why wouldn't you listen to this man? And because he said that he gave them input, um, but I guess the input was, I guess it wasn't solicited. They didn't come up to him and say, "So what would you do? How would you do this?" He was just trying to do that himself, trying to help him out. Um, but then that's what he said. But I'm just a hired gun. You
Yeah.
know, and what's it like to do that, to be instead of the own boss, the master of your fate. What is it like, and how do you agree to do that? I mean,
There's two ways that I like. Typically, if I'm getting hired ever, to write something for someone, that's I'll make the suggestion. But it's like if they're paying me, which is like rare, but when it happens, then whatever they want to do, I'll always make my suggestion what I think is going to improve the script, improve the storyline, trim it, whatever. Like, but they ultimately will have final say, and I'm cool with it because it's theirs, right? The thing I have more trouble with is when I like this just happened to me this past year. I can't get into like the details, but I had a script that was got optioned, and like I my people have read it and they were like, it's perfect. It's like really, it's pitch perfect, and the production house was like, no, we want to change the ending because it's too like indie, and it's not it's not commercial enough, and their idea, and I was very resistant to it. And so that I was like, no, you're ruining the ending. I was like not happy about it. I eventually we came to a compromise. It came out good. I'm happy with it ultimately, but yeah, that was a tougher pill to swallow. Like I just was like, no, this it's mine, you know, like
What
don't
does it
ruin
mean?
it.
What does it mean to indie?
Too indie, meaning that it's too art house, like too heady, where the ending was like a little ambiguous and the character didn't have this like this big redemption, and the character didn't win in the end. And I just didn't think that this protagonist deserved to win, and she had to come to terms with it. That was the story. It's a great story. But I mean, what we compromised eventually, because the director had notes, and we all, you know, came to a consensus, and yeah, I think it's good now. It's definitely will work.
Okay.
Ultimately, I don't know if this where this movie's going, if anything's happening with it. Hence to my original point, I do like it better when I'm in charge of everything, so I don't have to like listen to anyone, and I can just make it happen. But again,
Does that hurt though? I mean, does that hurt you if people see you as a you know a lone as a lone a lone ranger type? You know, I can do everything by myself. Can that hurt you though, Joe?
yes,
And
yes, yes. No, I don't. I'm just kidding. I don't mean like I do everything. I mean like, you know, the input of the DP, like of the actors of every, you know, even no. And there's even times when some actors will be like, you know, like Remi has been like, what if we did this instead? And I'm like, oh, okay, you know, it's great. I just don't like when there's people that are in charge that are that are telling you what to do, and they haven't like paid you yet, because that's how these things go sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's like,
I'm with you. I think if someone came up to me and wanted to make notes, I'd be sitting there going like, "Oh, while you got your pen out, why don't you write that check that you owe me? You know, or or to help the project. I mean,
yeah,
if you're so quick with that pen, kick
because
down some cash to make it
yeah,
happen." Yeah,
well
I'm
said.
with you about that.
I'm gonna steal that line. I like that. When you have your pen out for notes. No, because a lot of the time it's like how these, if you know, if you're a screenwriter, if you option something, sometimes they'll, if it's going to go into production, you'll get a percentage of the budget. Awesome, great. But if it doesn't, you're getting zero. You're getting 0% of nothing. So,
I tell you
um,
what, you mean the person who said it was too indie, or was that a studio that said that, or was that an indie producer?
yeah, I guess you would call them. I don't want to like be like saying too much now because I'm gonna get myself in trouble. But if anyone sees it,
I want to go scalping. Come on, let's go.
yeah, no,
Leave
just
Joe
yeah,
alone. Let him trust Joe. I mean, he knows what
yeah,
he's doing.
yeah. I
Believe me,
mean,
believe
like,
me, he knows what he's doing.
you know, ultimately didn't get it together with the budget anyway. So, but like,
Mm.
yeah, no, I just my take on it was it's more of a, it would be more of a thinking kind of ending. You have to like really think about. But I see their point too. I'm not like, you know, just totally obstinate. Like, no, I'm right. I'm right. I'm like, you know, I just was resistant, but I liked how it came together too. It's an alternate version. Fine, you know. If I was directing it and I had money, I would do the two endings. And on the DVD, if that still exists, put them both on there. You know, put the alternative ending on.
I don't know if I asked you this probably in our first interview or not, but I'll ask you this one now just to catch up because the first one was a while ago. But other than your circle of actors, so they're off to the side here. But if you get a chance to work with like if we get a chance to work with four people working today, acting today, what four actors would two male, two female, what actors would you like to work
Mhm.
with? Get a chance.
Um,
Everybody outside your troop, you can't count your troop.
right. Um, I mean, I know the basically you could pick anybody from the cast of Yellow Jackets, like the
Mhm.
girls and the adult women. Like I love that whole cast. I think is so good, like top to bottom. Um, Mainly, I like the girl who's in the new robot thriller. Did you see that? A
Oh,
companion.
Sophie
What's
Fast,
She's amazing
companion.
in that movie. Like she's next level. And Ellie Purnell, who's in the thing with Goggins also, and the
Oh
nuclear
yeah,
one, Fallout. You know her, Ellie with the big
right.
eyes.
Well, yep.
She's I love her. I think she's great. She would be so good for horror with those giant eyes too. You know. Um,
Right.
Yeah, so I would say the two of them, but I would take anyone from the even the smaller roles in that show. I think they're all great, and the adult or and the corresponding adult or um, also though. But I always have to say like Elizabeth Moss, because now I'm watching Handmaid's Tale
Yeah.
again, and I just can't I can't get enough of her. I just love her intensity. I don't think anyone's as intense as her. And it can be
Cool.
like slow, smoldering, subtle intensity, just or it can be explosive. She's amazing. Male actors.
Speaking
Who
of
do I
speaking
like?
of speaking of actresses, I also want to acknowledge that an actress who I admire, whose work I admire, she did a movie called American Trash, and this is
Mm-hmm.
someone you should keep on your Rolodex. This is Leslie Iverson. She's a fine actress, and I could definitely see, in all seriousness, I could actually see her. She could definitely fit into a Joe Leone movie. She has that.
Oh,
She has. Yeah. She has the skill set. She'd be really good. I mean, I can see her using her.
um,
She would be. You know, not everybody
uh,
can say that. Not everybody can. You
yeah.
can't grab every actor and say, yeah, that'll work for every director. But after I could just sit in there. It's funny. I'm sitting there looking at her and I'm going like, she could do this. She could definitely do one of your films and kick ass doing so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And now Mal, I remember it. Damien Idris. Do you know him? Did you ever see the series Snowfall?
No.
Okay, look him up. I think he's the next Denzel Washington. I think I watched this entire series in like binged it. It's totally not my typical stuff I like comedy or horror. It's a drama about how crack came about in the 80s in Compton. This actor is so good. I watched the entire thing, and then afterwards, I heard him speak, and he's British. I had no idea. I was
What
like he's so good. Damien Idris, and then I don't know other actor too. Yeah, I don't know somebody from Gemstones. Maybe Danny McBride or
anybody for the gemstones?
I won't say
Anybody?
Goggins because he's too everyone loves him too much right
Oh
now.
my god.
But yeah.
Have you? Hey, hi, Erica. How are you?
Oh, we
Um,
have.
now there's something to talk about because that was interesting. Have you ever had a clash between actors on set?
Yes.
I'm thinking about you're thinking about Walton Goggins. I'm thinking about that incident he had with that girl Amy Wood or
Yes. Yeah, and I saw something about that. Um,
I
Yeah,
feel
I
sorry.
didn't have. I had something that almost. I'm not going to get into it, but I had something that almost was like a whole revolution against someone once. That it was really. It could have been ugly, but that's where that my skills in diplomacy, much more than directing, where I had to utilize there, and I kept it from getting ugly. So, but typically I've had just everyone getting along again. I usually pick people that are great that I can count on that are they know the score and they just roll with it. They just
I'm
had
actually
had
surprised
one
it would
incident
actually.
where nothing major happened, luckily, but there was some animosity, but it came through the acting too, so I think it worked out. Eh.
Leslie says that actors can be awful to each other. Yeah, what's funny? It's like for over 3 years. I guess we've been doing this show, and it's only
Mm.
been like within the last 3 weeks. The last 3 weeks, I've been hearing this. I've been hearing that like there's been some clashes and friction and all that. I never heard that before from anybody. Everybody's always been lovey dovey here, but now the last 3 weeks, I'm hearing this, and I'm going like, it's tough. You watch all those interviews. Oh, we're like a family, and you just go like, it ain't that easy. That's it's like there's some and then once in a while you do get a public flare up between that girl Amy and Walt Goggins
Yeah.
that they flared up, and I have never seen that girl act, but I don't know. She looks cute. She looks cute.
She's
I
adorable on this show. She was great. I loved her. She was like the fan favorite this season. Her,
right. I
her
mean,
Parker Posey, who was
if
amazing.
you know, then you had Walt Goggins, who I felt sorry for. He was there doing an interview about the show, and then the interviewer, I don't know who the interviewer was, but
Mhm.
he kept on pushing him, like on the feud. And he's sitting there going like, man, I don't want to talk about that shit. Let's
Yeah,
talk about the project. And then
right.
kept on pushing, and finally, Goggins's rep just said, yeah, we're done, we're out of here.
Yeah,
And of course, it always makes it seem like he walks out, and it's like he didn't walk out. I mean, no actor ever walks out of an interview. They leave because you cross the boundaries that they've
oh,
established.
right. Like,
Like,
right. It's right, especially that kind of stuff. And they will usually be like, I don't want to talk about that. Let's move on. And then it's like they give you the interview or the opportunity to just move on. But,
um, how are this will be my last question to you for the show, but I'm just curious. You're so busy and you're so talented directing.
yeah.
How do you promote your shows? What do you? I mean, you're on this show here. You're doing.
This is my yeah, this is my weakness. I'm not good at it. I don't I've worked in marketing before, but I'm horrible at marketing. I don't know what to do. I
Great.
get like there's so much going on. I need to dedicate. I need to like just take a Google class, and I need to dedicate some more time to doing some marketing. The thing is, I just have no money for it, so I can't do anything. I've tried in the early days when I was making the films. I tried to throw some money at some things, and I just didn't feel like it generated enough to, you know, uh,
No, because they're not
make a
vested in
difference.
it.
Hmm?
They're not vested. When you do a show like this, even though it's a real tiny show, but when
Yeah,
you do a show like this, the person you're talking with, like in my case, we're vested in it. We
yeah,
we have an interest in the movie and making it do well, and because we know that if your movie comes out and it does well and you make more money and then come back and do it again, you come back to us, and we can
right,
talk about it again. So we have a vested interest in it. I have no interest at all being paid to interview anybody. I
right,
don't I won't,
right,
I
right.
won't
Yeah,
have I won't have the same interest.
yeah,
It'll be a job and not a passion.
right. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. I need to just, but that's why again, I thank you so much again for this. I appreciate you taking time meeting with me and seeing me talk
Yeah,
about
and
things.
we'll get Remi, Adrienne, and
Yeah.
maybe I mean, see how she feels. I would love to talk to Sarah. I think she would. I would have a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
fun.
yeah, some of the cast people I'm not that much in touch with, but yeah, I mean, we can try to set up. Maybe I can get more demons in there for you. I don't know. We'll figure it out,
We'll
but definitely,
even- I
you'll
like that.
yeah, you can do it. An all
Well,
demon day.
I got something to throw your way as soon as we get off camera here.
Okay.
We have hit our button. Leslie says drama needs to stay on the screen. Hell yes, hell yes. Um, I'm see. I told you she worked with you, so I'm all about connecting people. So there,
Okay.
we'll make sure you guys connect after this.
Okay.
Um,
Awesome.
but I want to thank everybody for coming in. Thank you for coming in today. And Remi and Adrienne, we will talk soon. I want to let you guys know what's coming up
Yeah.
next week. Next week is going to be our last shows of the month. We have two shows coming up. We have two shows coming up. We have Alex Javo will be with us on the 13th. He's got a new movie, a new short film called out Ambria. Oh, I can't say the last name. I'll kill it. But Embryo. I don't know. It's a vampire movie. It's one that he made. He directed and wrote and starring in it.
Love it.
And he'll be here on the 13th at 8 o'clock. And then on the 15th, we will be doing heading over across the pond for a show at 3 p.m. On the 15th. We're heading across the pond to Britain to talk to Jamie Langford's and Megan Adara, and they are doing they will be here, and they will be of The Cellar is an English supernatural film, and actually, to tell you the truth, they could probably play in a double. It could probably be a good double feature with Creature Demons. Tell you the truth. And they will be here on the 15th. Yeah, actually, it's yeah. That actually was their film and your film would actually go really well together. And so he's a young director and a young star in Megan Adara, and they will be here. I will be here at 3 p.m. Boy, I don't know where my tongue went. Um, I will be here at 3 p.m. for that show, and they're based in the UK. I want to thank the chat for coming in here and watching me stumble over my words. That's always entertaining. Uh, and thank you so much for coming in and supporting the show. Without you, I wouldn't be here. And we will see you next Tuesday with Alex. Until then, take care of yourselves and stay safe. Peace.
All right, thank you.
All right. Let's see. Oh, good. Didn't work yesterday.